Welcome, everyone. This is season 2 of the podcast. I haven't made an episode since September 7th, I think last year. Life has changed a lot for me in the past year. I have a lot of things to update you on. But yes, the podcast is back. I've been meaning to make episodes for a while, but a lot of things have changed. So I've got a couple of updates for you. I hope you all had a good year so far. And I can't believe we're almost at 2026. Wow. So pretty much from the time I made my last episode, I got a new full-time job. I have just recently got a promotion at this job, so I'll be moving locations within the company and moving up to a higher role. So I've been making some career gains. The other thing is, back in March, I got married. As you can see behind me, I'm in another location. I moved in with my wife, and life's been treating me really, really good lately. So I thought I'd give you guys those little quick life updates. God has blessed me really this year. This has been a phenomenal year for me. I can only think the worst thing that's happened to me this year was getting sick. I got a really bad fever. I think I caught either COVID or influenza. And yeah, I felt pretty bad for a couple of weeks. Other than that, life has been a blessing. I've been really enjoying it. I've been doing jiu-jitsu. I've been lifting weights. I've been living life in another suburb of Melbourne. And I've learned a lot this year, and I've got some things I want to continue sharing as we enter season 2 of this podcast. Ready to go at it. So I've also not really been streaming this year. The dream was that I would continue streaming while working full time. Now that I'm a married man too, that also means I have very little windows of time to do all the things that I have responsibilities for. That's being a husband, that's being a full-time employee, that's being a member of the church, hanging out with friends. You only have so much time in the week to do what you got to do. So at the end of the day, this is still a priority for me, but I apologize if you've been hoping for episodes for the past year. I hope that explains where I've been, but now I've got a bit more time. Now that I'm in a better rhythm with my life, I feel like I can make some new episodes for you, share some insights that I have, and continue to grow this podcast. So thank you for the support. Thank you to people who are still downloading the episodes week after week. Every week I get an update email telling me how many people have been downloading, and we still got some regular listeners, so that's really cool. So back in good old-fashioned style, today's topic is how we communicate our affection for others. Now, this doesn't just mean romantic. This just means like in general, like affection from a more just general sense, not just romantic, but like how do you compliment a friend? You know, how does someone else receive the good things you're trying to say to them or do for them? And there's a really phenomenal book that I read more than 10 years ago. It's called The 5 Love Languages. Now, it's written by an author named Gary Chapman, and this book was like a game changer. If you haven't heard of the book before, I highly recommend go look it up on YouTube. There's so many summary videos out there about it. And, you know, you can also buy the book if you want as well, or you can listen to an audio book version of it. But that book was a real game changer for me. The big reason why is because it enlightened me that not everyone receives love or affection or compliments the same way. Now, if you've read the book, there's essentially 5 summarized ways that people receive and interpret affection, compliments, love from others, right? And let me quickly look it up so I don't stuff this up. But yeah, there's a couple of them. There is, the first one for most people is something called words of affirmation. In other words, saying it, right? That's definitely me. If you want to make me feel loved, if you want to make me feel cherished, it's what you say to me. But have you ever met someone, when you go to compliment them or say something, they'll say something along the lines of, oh, words don't mean anything. Oh, that means nothing to me. And you're just like, and if you're a words of affirmation person, you're probably thinking, what? How could that be? Because that's how I receive it. So there are other love languages too. There is acts of service. So that's what you do for other people. There's receiving gifts, as the name implies. There are some people who feel affection when you give them something, like when you buy them something new or you give them a gift. They're like, oh, you know, I really appreciate that. Now, a lot of people, including myself, some people receive love or affection through quality time. So that means spending time together, doing things together, being present and truly focused on that person, with that person, while you're with them. There are people who only receive affection that way. You could say the nicest things to them. You can buy the most expensive gifts for them. You could do a lot of things for them, even though it's a little bit similar, but they still may not feel that affection. And then there's physical touch. So you ever met like a really handsy person, or you might have a family member or a friend or someone who just like loves to hug, loves to handshake, high five, dap it up. You know what I mean? So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I can tell you a story from my own life where the 5 love languages was a real challenge for me. And here's the story. So I'm going to use my dad as an example. My dad is an acts of service man. Purely acts of service. Sometimes it's receiving gifts, but I would say 90% of his affection that he interprets as love is acts of service, right? So, whereas I am a words of affirmation person. So you can understand me being a young boy growing up, I didn't really hear a lot of compliments or I love yous from my dad. So me being a words of affirmation guy may not have felt as loved, but my dad would fix my bike for me. My dad would buy all these things for me. My dad would do all these things for me. Yet I didn't feel the love. Now, vice versa. Because I would say to my dad, hey dad, I love you. Hey dad, you're the best dad in the world. Hey dad, I really appreciate everything you do for me. You know what, dad, I really enjoy spending time with you. But because he's an acts of service person, he doesn't receive the affection in the way that he interprets it, right? So for many of my early years of being from like, I would say age 0 to even 25, 26, I'm turning 34 this year. Even up until like 26, I really struggled to connect with my dad, right? Because I didn't know that he received affection differently from me. Much like he doesn't, necessarily want to communicate my love language to me. So this is where we have friction, right? And this isn't just like between family. This can just be work colleagues. This can be pretty much everyone you know. Almost everyone has different hybrid versions or singular versions of these love languages. Now, if you want to communicate effectively with people, you have to be able to pick up the signs on what their love language is. Usually, most people will give you those hints based on how they describe situations. Now, for me, after I read the book, I also watched a bunch of episodes on it. I listened to podcasts about it. I decided to put it into action. Now, for the longest time, my dad will always say, oh, you don't really love me. If you loved me, you would do the gardening, right? Now, I do gardening as a living now, ironically. But back then when I was younger, I'm talking like 15, 16, 17, 18, even 25, like hated gardening, couldn't stand it, can't stand it. I would tell my dad for the longest time, I'd rather pay Jim's mowing and that's a better use of my time. Why would I want to do something that I don't like, right? So that's just one example. Or he'll say, why didn't you do the dishes? And I'm like, you didn't ask me to do dishes. And he'll be like, well, I didn't have to ask you, right? So this is a very, very different world we're living in, like very different love language we're experiencing here. But after I'd read the book, it finally clicked in my head that the reason why we felt like we didn't love each other is because our version of love and how we interpret it is different. My dad, I realized, is an acts of service person. And, even when I try to explain to my dad, hey dad, you know what? You can do so many nice things for me, but I actually receive love through what you say. And he would say, no, that doesn't mean anything. My dad's in his 60s. He's an old school guy. The empathy side may not necessarily be like his strong point, right? That's my dad. That's just how it is, right? I accept him as he is. But that doesn't mean it should limit me from expressing the love in his way, even though that's not really my love language necessarily when it comes to my dad. So I started doing things like washing the dishes at home. I come home from school, I come home from work, there's a stack of dishes, right? And it'd take me, 20, 30 minutes to do it, and I'd do it. And then dad would get home and be like, oh, thank you so much, son, for doing the dishes. And then I noticed he'd treat me slightly different. He'd be a little bit more nicer to me. He'd be like, hey, want to come out for dinner? I'm like, whoa, this guy's actually talking to me? What's going on? Much like my mum too. My mum is a very, very receiving gifts kind of person. Much like my older brother. My older brother as well. His predominant love language is receiving gifts. So every time a birthday comes around, his question to me is, what are you going to buy mum? What are you going to buy dad? What are you going to buy my daughters? What are you buying me? You know what I mean? So you see, the way people behave will indicate what their love language most likely is, right? So I started doing this when it came to friends, like how I hang out with them and make them feel appreciated. Like if you hang out with a friend and their love language is, I don't know, physical touch. Obviously there's like boundaries and stuff, right? But it could just be like, yeah, the dude needs like a couple high fives throughout the day. And he feels like he had a good time hanging out with you. If you have a friend who is words of affirmation, it could be so simple as just giving them a genuine, heartfelt compliment. It could be like, Jeremy, you know what? I really appreciate that you always take the time to talk to me. Every time we've hung out, doesn't matter if you're tired, you've had 5 minutes sleep, or you're having a rough day, you still somehow make me feel important. And if their love language is words of affirmation, they're going to feel way more appreciated than if you bought them like $100 gift from somewhere. Not that they wouldn't appreciate. I'm not saying they don't appreciate at all necessarily, but their dominant love language will come out, right? So how does this apply to you? Have a think in your life. Now, obviously, I've given you a very brief summary of each of the 5 love languages, but just have a think about what is your love language. Are you an acts of service person? Are you a receiving gifts person? Are you a physical touch person? Are you words of affirmation? Are you a hybrid of all of them? Are you a quality time and acts of service person? Because what you may find, and I can't give you guarantees, this is just a theory, I've almost proven theory by most people, but it's still a theory. You may find a very positive difference in your life, especially with people you've tried to communicate positive affection to. Friends, family, romantic interests as well. Now, you know, I'll give you an example. With my wife and I, we have very different love languages. Like for her, she likes quality time and acts of service. Me, I like being told I'm a champion every day. All right. I also like physical touch. Like obviously, like in terms of like just hugging and stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Get your head out of the gutter. But yes, our love languages are different. But the good thing is, we started off dating, knowing each other's love languages. Like we told each other, so what's your love language? This is the benefit of, you know, doing some book reading, being educated on different things, being interested. It's nice that she knows the book and I knew the book. So when I told her, I said, hey, I'm a very words of affirmation person. And she would tell me, you know what? I'm not really a receiving gifts kind of person, but I do like it when someone thinks of me and does something for me, right? So with my wife, for example, you know, she could be like super busy. Like, you know, she's preparing lunch, she's preparing dinner in the kitchen, there's washing going on, there's so many things going on. Now, if I had walked up and here's $500 roses, you're doing so good. Now for her, she might appreciate it, she might think that's really cool, but that's not necessarily her love language. So she might just think, oh, that's cool, but you spend $500. That could have been, you know, for something important. Or I could be like, hey, I noticed that you're really busy. Would you like me to sort out tomorrow's dinner plans? And also, I can also do the washing, the drying. I can even make the bed for you. Now, for her, she'll be able to interpret that as, wow, he really cares. You know, he does love me, because that's her love language. Now, vice versa. Let's say I've been working really, really hard, like unbelievably hard. And this is what's happened. I've stepped up in a higher role at my company because my manager went on leave and they asked me to take his place. That also means I'm working extra hours. That also means I'm extra burnt out. That also means that I'm tired, right? Now, all I want to hear when I get home is, I am so, so proud of you. I recognize how hard you work. You're doing such a good job. That is so attractive to me. That fills my cup like 1,000,000%. I feel like Superman after. I'm totally ready to wash some more dishes after that. I'll do it anyway. But what I'm trying to say is if you can grasp this concept and give it a try, it may not work first time. Like you meet someone and you think they're a words of affirmation person and you give them a compliment and then just like, whatever. That's okay. Don't necessarily do it to get a reaction, but try it out. Try it out in your life. Now, you know, like people will give you hints. Now this is a bit of a, you know, reality is that you may hear how another relationship is going in your life, like maybe a couple that you know, and then you know you notice that the wife or the boyfriend and girlfriend will say something about their partner, and they'll say something along the lines of like, you know, he never wants to spend time with me, or she like, how do I say it? She never recognizes what I do. right? And you're like, tell me more. What do you mean? It's like, oh, it's like when I get home, all he wants to do is just like sit on the couch and do nothing, right? So this is probably an acts of service person, right? It's like, hey, I'm tired too. I've been working too. How come I have to do everything, right? But then you go and ask the guy. It's like, hey, so I heard your partner's been like feeling a little bit, bit sad. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, she's saying like you haven't really spent that much time together. And then he'd be like, what do you mean? We went to an expensive restaurant last night. Or I just bought the new bed for us. Like, do you see how like, because that person's love language is different, they assume that they're meeting that need. But actually the other person's love language is totally different. So until that is reconciled, you could pour as much energy as you have into the wrong love language for another person, and they may never fully experience what you're trying to express. Whereas if you have that knowledge, you're like, you know what? This person is a words of affirmation person. I'm going to tell them to their face why I think they're awesome. And you know what? This has helped me so much in my personal life, in my professional life, in my marriage. Like, it helps to just know how the other person ticks. So that's the topic today. I thought I'd share some quick tips, especially around something that I've, been really, really working on myself, especially like, I'm coming up on 4 months married now. Last year I was engaged in October. Before that, I was in a, standard relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend. And then 2 years before that, I was single. So I've had quite a journey when it comes to commitment. I've moved homes. I live with my wife now. Living together is a totally different story than living separately, but that could be for another episode. But I want to thank you all for your support. I want to thank you for your patience. If you've been waiting for episodes all year, my plan is to make more regular episodes, especially when I feel like I have something genuine to share. I definitely don't want to just ChatGPT rehash other podcasts that people have done. I want to share what I think is relevant in my life that may be a benefit to you. So if you've enjoyed this episode, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe or share it with somebody. If you're listening on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, please go ahead and give it a positive rating and share it with somebody. And maybe it could be helpful for somebody else too. So guys, thank you for your support. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I plan on making more in the future. Maybe it could be a weekly thing, could be a monthly thing, but I definitely don't want to leave it like once a year. So guys, I hope you're having a wonderful 2025. If it's not your year, if this has been a rough year for you, if you're going through something tough, please go seek help. If there is access for you, if there are professionals out there that you can reach out to, if there's a friend, just somebody please talk to somebody. If you're going through depression, anxiety, some challenge, like don't feel like you have to do it yourself. Like there are so many people out there. If they had gotten the help they needed, something could have happened. Something more positive could have happened. So when you hear stories of people who didn't seek help and things kept going downhill, like, it'd be nice to always be the one who can have an intervention and like step in. But if you still have the opportunity, if you still have the choice and you can talk to somebody, please do it. I did it. I'm still going to do it. I still seek help on things. Nobody's perfect. We're all trying in life. And that's what it comes down to. Live your life one day at a time. Improve step by step. And we'll get there bit by bit. So take care. Peace out. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And I'll see you on the next one. Probably soon. Ciao.